This evening, we'll be looking at the proposed amendment of the Administration of Parliament Act. Well, if you followed closely the developments that took place in Gulu as Parliament was sitting in the northern part of this country, one of the MPs, Mityana South MP, Honorable Richard Lumu Kizito, was granted leave to prepare a bill, the Administration of Parliament Amendment Bill 2024. And one of the major highlights of this bill is to have the leader of opposition in Parliament elected. His suggestion is to the fact that the largest opposition party in Parliament will be required to nominate 3 candidates from among its members for the position of leader of the opposition. And these candidates will then be presented to all opposition members of Parliament, who will elect one of those 3 as their leader. And he argues that this democratic process will ensure that the leader of the opposition is chosen by the collective voice of opposition MPs, fostering a sense of ownership and unity across the opposition spectrum. He also says that if that law is passed, there will be an election of the opposition chief whip. There will be also nomination of parliamentary commissioners. And he also thinks about other future proposals, things that can be looked at as this bill is considered in the House. And this includes the opposition taking the position of Deputy Speaker of Parliament. He also saying that all shadow cabinet ministers, once nominated, they should be vetted by the entire opposition caucus. And he also says independence in Parliament should also be valued as people who can organize their own group and have a leader or a whip. At the moment, the opposition is simply catered for by, the independents are simply catered for by the Speaker, who nominates what they call their leader in the House, but they are not recognized in the structures of the administration of Parliament. So we invited the Honorable Richard Kizito Lumu to be on the show this evening. He confirmed, and a few minutes ago he did indicate that he's on the way to the studio. And this proposal has caused a lot of debate, and very many people are wondering what he intends to cure with this particular proposed amendment. We hope that when he gets here, he will be able to provide us the details. But we're also trying to get him on phone to see if he can contribute to this discussion as he makes his way to this studio. But in the meantime, you can tell us what's your view about this particular proposal. There are 2 ways actually for you to do so. You can send us a message on our WhatsApp line, which is 0703-090-090. The other option is actually to call in. I'm going to read out the numbers pretty soon for you to actually call in and contribute to this discussion as we're waiting for the Honorable Lumu to actually come here in studio and expound further on this proposed bill. Well, across the political spectrum, most of the opposition political parties are questioning this move. For instance, the National Unity Platform Party thinks this is a mere gimmick, probably engineered by some issues around NUP saying they will not approve of their members attending regional meetings, regional parliamentary sittings. And therefore, they are suggesting that this could be a plan larger than the Honorable Richard Lumu, probably being fronted by other people with the aim of totally disorganizing the opposition in Parliament. Other people say that in line with the democratic principles and the multi-party politics, the right to choose the leader of opposition and also the chief whip and all the leaders within the opposition in Parliament should be retained by the political party with the majority seats in the opposition. And that seems to be the response from other opposition political parties. The FDC Najana Nkumbi faction yesterday also spoke about this issue. And in their view, it's something that is going to cause a lot of confusion within the opposition and probably create even room for the NRM party to sponsor an opposition member who can work with them much as they are the leaders of opposition, because they will finance, apparently the faction spokesperson John Kinyogo emphasizing that such a person can be financed by the opposite side to influence the outcome of the election, and they end up with somebody who is going to agree all the time with the ruling party in Parliament. But the other side, the Katonga faction, also weighed in with the leader there, Erias Lukwago, saying that it is unthinkable that such an amendment can be allowed to proceed, urging the forces within Parliament, opposition forces within Parliament, to unite and defeat this proposal. Today we just heard from a number of MPs from the opposition, including the Honorable Medad Lubega Segona, who actually says it's time for the leader of the opposition, Joel Senyonyi, to call an urgent meeting to discuss this matter. So that's how far this proposed bill has gone. The bill that is being moved by Mityana South MP Richard Lumu Chizito, whom we expect to join us shortly here in the studio. We're trying to get him online to be able to continue discussing as he comes in studio. What have we seen in the past? For the last, from the time this arrangement of leader of opposition was introduced in the Ugandan parliament, it has been the political party in the opposition that has been fronting that has been actually appointing the leader of opposition. We had the FDC for 4 consecutive times appointing the leaders of opposition, and then also the chief whip and all the other leaders that were working within the opposition circles. We later on had the NUP that came in and they appointed their first leader of opposition, who was the Honorable Matthias Impuga and Samba as the leader of opposition. They also appointed John Baptist Nambeshe as the opposition chief whip, and they also had a shadow cabinet. And then changes came in. We saw the appointment of Joel Senyonyi as the leader of opposition, and John Baptist Nambeshe retained his position as the opposition chief whip. It's at that point that we started seeing a conflict emerging within the opposition ranks, and some people think this proposed bill could be linked to those particular issues. So tell us, what do you think about this proposal about having an elected leader of opposition? And what do you think about the proposal of having the opposition taking the position of deputy speaker in parliament? And tell us, what do you think could be behind this proposal? Is it in good spirit? You know, lawyers will tell you the spirit of the law. What do you think is the spirit of this law? And do you think it will cure anything? It will create harmony within the opposition when the whole opposition parties within the House get to elect the leader of the opposition? You can call in our numbers 0414-346-111, 0414-348-111, 0414-348-411, 0707-909-097, and you can also call in 74-076-394. When you call in, you lower the volume of your radio so that we can hear loud and clear. Our topic of discussion today, we are looking at the proposed Administration of Parliament Amendment Bill 2024, which is going to be moved by the Honorable Richard Kizito Lumu, Mityana South MP, who is supposed to be our guest this evening. And I lastly spoke to him about 10 minutes ago, and he said he was actually on his way to studio to expound more about this particular topic and to explain further about why he actually thinks there's need to amend the Administration of Parliament Act to cause the changes that he's looking for. You can share with us using the WhatsApp line, which is 0703-090-090, and you tell us what you think about this particular proposal. And as we wait for the Honorable Lumu to actually come in, we have a caller on the line. Good evening, and thank you very much for joining us on Spectrum.
Hello, good evening, Kenneth.
Good evening to you.
Yes, I am a little bit. My name is Vincent, first of all.
Yes, Vincent.
And I'm just concerned that our MPs really focus on peripheral issues when we really have serious issues as a country. We all know that we've been having issues to do with the amending the way we do our elections, and I would have loved to see private members' bills reflecting the several proposals that have been gathered in the past two parliaments, and bring them forward for debate, and because that's really where our democracy has sunk. Not these things of 500 people in a house. We want a democracy where all citizens' voice is reflected in the final vote. But these are small things that he's bringing up. I don't know what indeed it shows. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much for your call, and thank you very much for your views there. You think the MPs are focusing on peripheral issues. There's other critical issues that they need to actually focus on. But let's get the view of the Honorable Medad Segona, who today spoke to the media about that particular issue. Let's hear what he says, and then you can also call in and contribute your views on the same.
The Honorable Richard Lumu is a legitimate expression of his legislative rights as a member. I have not been privy to the draft of his proposal, which is yet to table as a bill, even now that he has been okayed or he has been granted leave. I look forward to reading it. I have previously attempted to bring a similar bill. I was defeated democratically by a combination of FDC and NRM because they believed the party in opposition should be given the opportunity and the absolute opportunity to bring the lead of opposition. I did rest my case. Having lost democratically, what did one expect me to do?
Well, those are the views of the Honorable Medad Segona Lubega there, weighing in on this particular issue. His view was that the opposition in Parliament should have a meeting to actually discuss this issue thoroughly and also come out with a position. He said there should be an urgent meeting of the oppositional caucus to discuss this particular bill and have a way forward on it. He says the MP has a right to provide such a bill. He actually says he also at one point attempted to do the same, meaning that under the rules of Parliament, any MP is allowed to come forward with a bill on any issue they feel needs to be legislated upon. And following the rules there, they must get a certificate of financial implications from the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. It is a mandatory issue. And once they have that particular certificate, they can go ahead and, table the bill, which is then discussed and then passed by the House. And once it is passed by the House, then it can be processed and signed by the President. That is the issue that awaits the Honorable Lumu. Like I already said, we also heard yesterday from the Katonga, from the Najanakumbi faction of the FDC, and John Kikonyogo there expressing the views of that political party. Let's take a listen and then get your views on it.
This amendment could fragment the opposition, making it harder to present a united front against the ruling party. In fact, Mr. Lumu is indirectly opening a door for the ruling party to penetrate the opposition easily and giving avenue to influence the outcome of the election. The regime will pump money and will sponsor a candidate run for the position, and hence that person will always work for the state, which it determined his elections as leader of opposition. And this will affect the furtherance of opposition agenda and unity.
That is John Kikonyogo there from the Najana Kumbi faction of the FDC, providing the views there of that particular group on that particular amendment. He actually thinks it's not a good thing for the Honorable Lumu to be bringing forward that kind of proposal. We also heard from the Katonga faction of the FDC, where Erias Lukwago is the president. Let's take a listen to the views of the Katonga faction on this particular bill.
We are making a call to our colleagues in the House. Put your troops in order. We are concerned that Mr. Museveni, through his proxy, Anita Among, is making inroads in our backyard. We agonize at that fact that Anita Among is making serious inroads into the opposition, succeeding to create that schism, the kind of fault line within the
work of the Honorable Richard Lumu, but the work of President Yoweri Museveni through what he describes as a proxy, the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among there. And it would mean that Anita Among is working with the Honorable Lumu to have this bill pushed forward. But what would be the benefit of the Speaker? What would be the benefit of President Yoweri Museveni? Erias Lukwago there suggesting that it is an attempt to weaken the opposition in the House by simply causing them to fight. Let's get this caller and the views that they have on this particular issue. Good evening, and thank you very much for joining us on Spectrum.
Yeah, this is Amo Martin in Mbale.
Yes, Amo Martin.
Yeah, in fact, Honorable Lumu is 100% right, because one of the roles as an MP is to push in for any legislation. What other Ugandans are blaming him for, that's not patient. He is proposing. We wait for him at the right stage. We put in our views. In fact, I'm directing all those opposition members in the country who are against Honorable Lumu's move. They just look at the Constitution, Section 82A. Very clear. Parliament shall make a law to support the administration of Parliament. And that's why the procedures, the act was enacted for the administration of Parliament. Let them look at Section 6B, the Administration of Parliament Act. It's very clear. And why these people are confused is that all along, people who have been appointing leaders of opposition have been in the wrong. The law says elect. For them, they have been appointing. So because it has been done in a wrong way, many Ugandans feel as if a leader of opposition must be appointed. The case is he must be elected, but from within members of the party with the highest opposition, majority. People are just confused. I'm even worried why Honorable Kwago cannot even understand something very simple in a plain language. 82A, the Constitution is very clear. Elect. Parliament shall make a law to elect a law. Then Parliament went ahead and put in that law, the Administration of Parliament Act. It says elect, not appoint. And what Mr. Lumu is trying to make is just strengthen it. But it's already electing. They have been in the wrong. All along, they have been appointing laws. The law is very clear, let them elect. I'm not a lawyer, but this act and the Constitution are very clear for any Ugandan above 18 years of age. Good evening.
Well, those are the views of Amo Martin, who is listening to us from eastern part of Uganda. What are your views? Call in 0414 111 0414 348 111 0414 348 411 0707 909 097. There's also the empty line, which is 0774 076 394. Call in, tell us what's your view, but you can also share with us using the WhatsApp line 0703 090 090. And I can see already there are a number of comments coming in. I'll begin with Mawa Jacob, who writes in. Let's see what his view is here. System is opening for me to actually read that particular view. But you can also keep your comments coming. Just send a message, not audio clip, but a message, a written message via the WhatsApp line 0703 090 090. And your message will reach us and we shall read it here loud and clear. Our topic of discussion today, we are looking at the proposed Administration of Parliament Amendment Bill 2024, which is being moved by Mityana South MP Richard Lumu. Comment coming in from Mawa Jacob. He says, let me see. Good evening, Anderson. That's indirect interference. Maybe those who are proposing such a bill might be doing it on behalf of the untouchables. I would appreciate if they were tabling term limits instead. That is Mawa Amaza, listening in from Moyo in West Nile. Thank you indeed for listening to us all the way from West Nile. A comment comes in from Benon Fred Twinamasko, who says, Honorable Lumu failed to save his DP party from auction by Honorable Mao, and now he wants to try and streamline which opposition, because as it stands, DP signed an MOU to support all the government programs. So under which party does he get to be under leader of opposition? Well, Honorable Lumu was elected to parliament under the Democratic Party ticket, and that's where he belongs. We have another comment. Good evening, Kenneth. George from Bunga. I have no problem with the bill, but these guys are leaving measures like downsizing parliament, and they are measuring on minor issues. That's a comment there coming in from that listener, George, who is listening in from Bunga. Let's go for a break now. When we return, we'll allow your comments to come in, but also do continue sharing with us on WhatsApp. Probably by that time, Honorable Richard Lumu will have joined us here in the studio to expound further on this particular bill. Now, stay tuned, Radio 1 FM 90. Spectrum continues after this break. Thank you so much for staying with us on Spectrum, live on Radio 1 FM 90. My name is Kenneth Lukwagandason, your host. Our topic of discussion today, the proposed Administration of Parliament Amendment Bill 2024. We are trying to look at the major highlights. We expected the Honorable Lumu Richard, Mitiana South MP, to join us here in studio to expound more, but he is not yet here. We have also tried to get him online. He's not picking his calls. I've even tried to call him during the break so that he can tell us where he is. He's not picking, but before we started this discussion, he confirmed to us that he was in town and he was making his way to studio. So let's expect him here as we continue looking at the views that are coming from you. Most important of all, this show is about you also, the listener, to contribute to the views on issues including a bill like this, which is being proposed in Parliament. The main highlights of the bill: Honorable Lumu wants the leader of opposition in Parliament elected. The largest opposition political party will be required to nominate 3 candidates from among its members, and the whole opposition parties in Parliament will elect from among those 3 who should be the leader of opposition. And he thinks this will promote ownership and unity across the opposition spectrum. Probably he's suggesting that at the moment there's no unity within the opposition. Maybe they do not agree with the person holding the position. Well, we don't know. There's another view there that the chief whip will be also elected by all opposition MPs from among themselves, that names for this position will be nominated during a sitting of the opposition caucus, and a vote will be held to determine the most suitable candidate. He says that this approach will democratize the selection process and ensure that the chief whip enjoys broad support and confidence from all opposition members that he has to organize and mobilize for legislative work. He also says under his proposal, the largest opposition party will nominate 1 candidate to serve as a parliamentary commissioner. In addition, the other remaining opposition parties will be allowed to convene and nominate another commissioner. This will guarantee that the parliamentary commission reflects the diversity and strength of all opposition parties rather than being nominated by a single political party. Additionally, he says all members of the shadow cabinet, once nominated, must be vetted by the entire opposition caucus. He also wants independence recognized in Parliament, and they should also be able to organize and elect their own whip under which they will operate. He says that all these amendments are merely administrative adjustments, but rather a reflection of his deep commitment to fostering a united, cohesive, and effective opposition. Let's continue with the views. We have a comment coming in from Andrew. Andrew writes in and says he can't keep time and is expecting us to take him seriously, not so much to wonder about his intentions. That's a comment coming in from Andrew. We have another comment coming in here from another listener, Sam Kiracho, listening in from Lugogo. He says, I support Honorable Lumu Administration of Parliament Amendment Bill because he said it will bring unity among the opposition. The current system of appointing the leaders of opposition only favors those who are close to the current of an opposition in Parliament. Surely there will be a political party that will have won the elections, and there will be an opposition person elected under this law, should it pass through in Parliament. A comment comes in from Masiga, who is listening in from Kiwenda. He says, thanks for the program. I believe the opposition needs more cohesion than weakening it. Honorable Lumu has taken long. The 11th Parliament is almost winding up its business. Is almost winding up its business. Where does such a bill leave the future of the opposition? Well, according to what I know, as far as laws are concerned, the law does not work backwards. The law will be working for the next Parliament, and therefore he is legislating for the next Parliament. And then we have another comment. Honorable Richard Lumu's DP went to bed with the ruling NRM party. This is simply part of the MOU DP signed with the NRM. Penetrate, weaken the opposition in Parliament, and approve all the upcoming bills in favor of the Speaker and the President. This is not a surprise. That's Stephen listening in from Kisasi. We have a comment coming in from Drani. Drani says, Radio 1, that Honorable Lumu has no content. Even yesterday, he dodged KFM like he's doing to Radio 1 now. He has nothing useful to offer to Ugandans. That's why he doesn't keep time. Doesn't he know the jam in Kampala all along? Well, we have also tried to get him on phone, but he's not picking, despite confirming a few minutes before the show that he was actually walking into studio. Then we have another comment here. Good evening, Anderson. Why is Honorable Lukwago and his friends so much worried? What Honorable Lumu Richard is hatching is going to bring sanity in the August House. The monopoly of one party claiming to be a leading opposition in the House is not a good idea at all. Opposition should be seen supporting this move wholeheartedly. That is Kibet Patrick Navtani, District Communication and Information Officer, listening in from Bududa District, where he actually works. But there is an opposition party in Parliament that has a majority, and according to the Administration of Parliament Act in its current form, it is that political party that is supposed to have the leader of opposition nominated and fronted to lead the opposition in Parliament. And at the moment, it is the NUP party that has that mandate. It first did appoint the Honorable Matthias Impuga, who was then replaced by the Honorable Joel Senyonyi, and after the 2026 elections, we'll be waiting to see which other party will emerge in the opposition with the majority of the seats in Parliament, and then they'll be the ones to front the leader of opposition. But according to Honorable Lumu's bill, if it is passed by Parliament, there will have to be an election by all opposition parties, with that political party with the majority seats on the opposition, nominating 3 people from which the entire opposition caucus, the different political parties in the opposition that will be represented in Parliament at that time, will elect a leader of opposition. A comment comes in from Sami. The fact is that whether we believe it or not, there is invisible hand behind Lumu. Mr. Museveni is all over eating the opposition members one by one. For God and my country. That's a comment coming in from Sami there. Another comment comes in from Emmanuel, who writes in and says, Hi Spectrum, any kind of election in a democracy is very welcome. However, we have MPs who walk around with a for sale sign. Therefore, the sanity of the voting process will definitely be compromised. That is Emmanuel listening in from Namasuba. Do call in. The numbers to call on 0414-346-111, 0414-348-111, 0414-348-411, 0707-909-097, 0774-076-394. When you call in, lower the volume of your radio set so that we can hear you loud and clear. Our topic of discussion today, we are looking at the proposed Administration of Parliament Amendment Bill 2024, which among other things is pushing for an elected leader of the opposition, an elected opposition chief whip, and then also the position of deputy speaker in Parliament being, ring-fenced for the opposition, which will be for the opposition, which will be in Parliament at that time. Now, the popular amendments that I've heard about in the past were one that the leader of the most successful political party in the opposition, the political party that emerges with more seats in parliament, should automatically become an MP so that they can lead the opposition within parliament. That proposal has been made several times by a number of people who are working within the governance space. They think that actually, that proposal became very prominent during the walk to work protests when the governance experts were actually saying it would have been better for Dr. Kizza Besigye then, who was the leader of the FDC, to be in the House to be able to take part in the discussion and raise those issues that he was raising outside Parliament. That was the most popular proposal which was made then. Then the other popular proposal which was made concerning the office of the Speaker was that there should be a bench of speakers. Proposing that Uganda should have a bigger bench of speakers, like maybe 5 speakers, and then from time to time they can share their work. This came up during even the Citizen Compact on free and fair elections and issues to do with parliamentary reform, when they proposed that the 2 speakers may be tired to steer the House, or maybe they have conflict of interest on a particular matter, and therefore they can call upon their other deputies to actually provide leadership of the House. And such a situation is prevailing in Kenya, where they have a bench of speakers. So from time to time, you will see a different person chairing the House. And according to the proposal, according to those that push for the proposal in Kenya, it helps also to, remove a tendency of, people saying that they don't feel free, submitting when a certain speaker is chairing the House. We have a comment coming in from Moses, who says, Honorable Richard should not be taken seriously. How can he promise to be hosted on 2 different radio stations at the same time? That's a comment coming in from Entebbe. I want to inform you, Moses, that Honorable Lumu confirmed yesterday that he will be on the show here today. Even earlier today, we did make a flyer, shared it with him, and then later we followed him up with a phone call. He did confirm that he will be here. Even before I came into the studio, I called Honorable Richard Lumu. He confirmed that he was in town and he was making his way to a studio here. We have also tried to use the other option of actually calling him on his phone, but he has not picked. He has not even picked my personal call from which we have been communicating all this time. We have another comment here coming in from Jerry. Jerry writes in and says, good evening, Kenneth. This is Benjamin. He says, this is Benjamin listening in from Shema. Thank you very much for joining us all the way from Shema. He says, well, the spirit which the law was enacted was that the party with majority seats in parliament on the opposition should be given a chance to appoint certain offices. The act itself is clear. Election is by members of a political party with a majority of votes, not every Tom and Jerry. Independents and government-leaning MPs. Well, the proposal is not saying that independents and government-leaning MPs should actually be part of the election. It's actually saying political parties from the opposition under their caucus should be the ones to vote for the leader of opposition with the political party that has a majority of the seats in parliament, providing 3 names, and then the caucus votes on who should actually become the leader of opposition. Another comment comes in. The spokesperson of DP, Ismail Kiria, is in disagreement with Honorable Lumu. So under what consensus is Lumu bringing this bill? Honorable Lumu is most likely to chicken out of this evening discussion because he has no faith in that bill. That's a comment coming in from Mike. Well, Honorable Lumu enjoys his privilege as an MP under the rules of procedure of Parliament to be able to seek leave, prepare a bill and have it tabled in the House. So I don't know if he's doing so with the consultation from his political party, DP, but the facts are he stood in Gulu on the floor of the House, asked for leave from Parliament to go and prepare the bill. The leave was granted and he has embarked on the process. He has been addressing members of the press here in Kampala. Actually, one of the press conferences he did was yesterday to actually explain and all the issues that have been putting across are contained in a press release that he issued, which I'm holding in my hands right now as a document of record from the Honorable Lumu. We have another comment here. I'm wondering why this proposal did not arise during the Honorable Mpuga tenure. Well, those questions have also been put across. Some people have been saying, what about the timing of this particular bill? What does this mean for the opposition in Parliament? We have another comment. I think Honorable Lumu fell in the waters he was testing. There's another radio station that was saying he was expected. Now he was on rural excitement, just like there is urban excitement. That was Gulu fever that he caught from Gulu. That's a comment from Henry Chiwenda there, sharing his particular view there. Moses writes in and says, thanks, but I'm also talking about another radio station which is waiting for him. They claim they talked to him and he confirmed his attendance there. At the same time, he confirmed that he will be at Radio 1. Now, that's very surprising because before this show began, like I've already told you, I called Honorable Lumu and he was on record that he was walking into the Radio 1 studios to explain more. The invitation was actually extended to him on Monday. And yesterday, we continued to have a discussion about his appearance. And today, he did confirm he will be here. We even made a flyer to, popularize this discussion. And now he is not showing up. But that's what it is. We continue getting comments from you, dear listeners. Do give us your comments on the WhatsApp line, 0703-090-090. Tell us what you think. But also you can call in 0414-346-111, 0414-348-111, 0414-348-411, 0707-909-097, 0774 076 394. What's your proposal? What's your reaction to this proposed Administration of Parliament Act, where Honorable Lumu actually says the leader of opposition should be elected, the opposition chief whip should be elected, nomination of commissioners should be, include the views of all opposition political parties represented in Parliament. And then he's also thinking about the position of Deputy Speaker being ring-fenced for the opposition. He said the Deputy Speaker should be elected from within the opposition. He says that while he's aware that this requires a constitutional amendment, he firmly believes that it will further enhance the checks and balances within the legislative system. He also says all members of the shadow cabinet, once nominated by the political party in the opposition that has the majority seats, they should be vetted, and if found lacking in competence, the main opposition party should be asked to replace such names. He says this will ensure that the shadow cabinet is not only competent but also representative of the collective opposition's will. Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. My name is Kenneth Lukwagandason, your host. I expected to host the Honorable Richard Lumu this evening on this show. He is the one who proposed this bill, but as we speak, he has not yet made it in studio. So I'm encouraging you to actually share your views. And the main focus of this bill seems to be on, improving the relations, the workings of the opposition in Parliament. Surely we have seen a number of times where the opposition, the leader of opposition has made directives, has taken a position and told the opposition we should not be doing this thing. For instance, with the regional sittings of Parliament, the leader of opposition, Honorable Joel Senyonyi, did say that the opposition will not be attending these sittings because of what he called a huge expense on taxpayers. He actually claimed that each regional sitting is going to cost the taxpayer 5 billion shillings. He did ask all opposition members not to go, but from the Gulu sitting, we saw about 20 of opposition MPs in attendance. They included Honorable Lumu. We actually saw one of the MPs from the National Unity Platform, Dr. Abed Bwanika, assuming the position of leader of opposition there, telling the House that in the absence of Joel Senyonyi, he had automatically become the leader of opposition. We also saw a number of other NUP MPs in that particular house are not only NUP but also from other political parties attending that particular meeting in Gulu. We have a comment here from Moses. It says, I don't see any significant change Honorable Lumu's proposed bill is making from the current law. The opposition party with majority MPs will still win if it nominates its candidates for election by members of the opposition. Well, we have a caller on the line.
Before we blame Honorable Richard Lumu, let us give him time. My concern, Mr. Lumu, why are you not giving us the opportunity to call on Radio 1? You are playing on our rights because we have the right to call. Why don't you give us the opportunity to call on Radio 1? That's my question.
Well, you have called in now. You have called in now, and we are glad that.
It has taken long. You are not giving us the opportunity.
Well, thank you very much for your input there. That's A.M. Seduge there, who has called in. He says we should give Honorable Lumu a benefit of doubt and give him time to explain more about his bill. We have a comment coming in from Moses. I don't see any significant change in Honorable Lumu's proposed bill. I don't see any significant change Honorable Lumu's proposed bill is making from the current law. The opposition party with majority MPs will still win if it nominates its candidates for election by all members of opposition to the position of law, chief whip, etc. What I would advise Honorable Lumu is to expand the bill to comprehensively address or cover other related areas other than a piecemeal bill. For example, the bill should cover such areas including all commissioners of parliament should be elected, not nominated, by the ruling party MPs on one side and all the opposition MPs on the other side. Then he says the same applies to the chief whips of both the ruling party MPs as well as one for opposition MPs. That's a comment coming in from Moses Mukundane, listening from Kida. We have a caller on the line. Good evening and thank you very much for calling in.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, thank you very much for calling in.
Yes, my name is Msinje. Straight away to the topic. The changes which are being proposed by Honorable Lumu are not brought in good faith. I can assure you, if it was in good faith, people would have supported it. But you can even see his logic to come to studios. Because maybe the person who is sending him to do whatever he's doing has not briefed him. In fact, what is going to tell us. That's the logic. Thank you so much.
Well, that's a view there of that listener. We have a comment coming in from AF, who writes and says, Lumu is exercising his right as a member. Whether he's pushing a good or bad amendment is his food for thought. Those who think democracy has honest intention should read Socrates' view on it. Let's reap what they sow. That's a comment coming in from AF. Another caller on the line. Good evening. Thank you very much for calling in.
Yes, how are you?
Very fine, thank you.
Yes, Greg here.
Well, I can hear you loud and clear. Please go ahead with your question or comment.
Yes, in Uganda we say, Lumu was used by someone. He's under the ditch, and that person is running out from him. Shame upon him.
Well, we have another comment coming in from Ben and Fred Twinamasco on cooperation of the opposition. It is so hard to have such as each individual looks for survival. No one is willing to compromise for the other. That's on the issue of cooperation of political parties. We have another comment. It's a shame Honorable Lumu couldn't make it for the show despite confirming his attendance. Indeed, we are a little bit concerned about that. We hope it doesn't continue elsewhere. Then we have a comment coming in from Robert who says the law position has eluded DP for so long. Could it be envy than the intention to cure anything? Now that they joined NRM, do they still qualify as opposition party purely? That's a Robert listening in Kumi. Well, there have been questions about the cooperation between the DP and the NRM. At one time, Honorable Mao said that one of the key issues he had been assured by President Yoweri Museveni was a peaceful political transition in Uganda. On another day, President Yoweri Museveni said such a thing was not included in the MOU that was signed between the Democratic Party and the NRM. He only said that Mao accepted to join the NRM and serve the country, and there was no any political decisions or promises made in the MOU. We have another comment. Honorable Lumu has spoiled our discussion this evening. This shows you the unseriousness of the bill. That's a comment coming in from Dan there. Let's see if we have another comment or caller on the line. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, that caller has gone off. But basically, that's what we've been able to come up with this evening. We expected the Honorable Lumu Chizito Richard from Mitiana South to join us to expound further on the proposed Administration of Parliament Amendment Bill 2024. Unfortunately, despite confirming that he will be here, we have not seen him here in studio to share his views widely, to explain further on some of the proposals that he's making. His proposal includes election of the leader of opposition in Parliament, with the largest opposition party in Parliament nominating 3 candidates, from among which all opposition MPs should vote for a leader of opposition. At the moment, the leader of the political party that has a majority in the opposition decides who should become the leader of opposition, probably with the National Executive Committee of that political party. In this period, the Honorable Joel Senyonyi is the leader of opposition. Previously, we had Honorable Mpuga, who also had been nominated from the NUP party. Before that, we had the FDC, which had Honorable Ogengala Tigo. They had Honorable Wafula Ogutu. We also had other people under the FDC who actually led the opposition in Parliament, including the Honorable Winnie Kiza. And then we have another comment. The bill is meant to weaken the opposition. Whatever DP does is in unison with the NRM. This is the work of the Speaker and his team. That's a comment coming in from Chris there. And we have a comment coming in from Okello Patrick Bonyo, listening in from Busega. If they can solve the bickering in the opposition, then it's okay. Let us stop pretending that we have democracy in Uganda. In fact, I need a good dictator than the one we have now. That's Okello Patrick Bonyo there, listening to us from Busega. And then we have another comment, and coming in, and it says, Honorable Lumu failed to secure a copy of the MOU Mao signed with Mr. Museveni. Should have provided guidance to him on what he needs to do. His bill is in line with that particular MOU. Well, we have another listener here who says, I can confirm because he says Honorable Lumu is not a reliable person. I can confirm because how can he be in 2 studios at the same time? Somebody is waiting for him at another radio station, and at the same time, you're also waiting for him. Well, that is the state of affairs at the moment. But let me thank you, dear listeners, for sharing with us, those that sent in the messages via the WhatsApp line, and those who took time to call in. Well, this discussion on this particular bill, the proposed Administration of Parliament Amendment Bill, will continue tomorrow. I have another guest who will be in studio here, and hopefully that particular guest will be able to make it as we continue reflecting on the issues that are shaping debate in our country. I've been your host, Kenneth Lukagandason. Up next, we have the news in English with Miss Lillian Keno, thereafter with BB Jr.